It was supposed to be a quick stop, a sunny afternoon, warm breeze in the air, the kind of day where nothing should go wrong. But for one man, it would become a moment he'd never forget. David Johnson, 32 years old, a hard-working black man, father, provider, a man who carried himself with quiet dignity. He wasn't rich, but he had earned his success through sweat, sacrifice, and determination. That day, David pulled into a downtown parking lot. He had a meeting across the street, an opportunity that could change his career forever. Wearing a crisp dress shirt, slacks, and polished shoes, he stepped out of his car with confidence. His vehicle wasn't flashy, just a reliable black sedan. He had worked hard to pay off, but to him, it represented years of perseverance. And that's when she appeared. Karen, sharp sunglasses, arms crossed, a sneer plastered across her face like she owned the very ground beneath her. She watched David step out his car, her eyes narrowing. "You can't park here," she snapped. Her voice cut through the air, loud enough for others in the lot to turn their heads. David paused, calm but firm. "Ma'am, I paid for the spot. Here's the receipt." He held up his phone, the digital confirmation glowing on the screen. But Karen didn't look. She didn't care. Her smirk grew wider. "Don't lie to me. People like you always try to get away with things." The words stung. They weren't about parking. They were about him. David took a slow breath, remembering his father's advice. Never let anger steal your dignity. So he stood tall. "Again," he said evenly, "I paid. I'm not breaking any rules." But Karen wasn't finished. She pulled out her phone with dramatic flair, dialing a number. "Hello, yes, I'd like to report an unauthorized vehicle. I want it towed immediately." Her eyes locked with his, a cruel satisfaction in her tone. "He doesn't belong here." Within minutes, a tow truck rolled in, a hulking machine of steel and chains. The driver stepped out, clipboard in hand. "Which car?" he asked. Karen pointed at David's sedan like she was delivering a guilty verdict. "That one." David's heart pounded. His meeting was minutes away. His reputation, his opportunity, all on the line. He showed the tow driver his receipt, explaining the truth, but Karen's voice cut over his. "He's lying. He forged it. Get this car out of here now." The crowd was growing. Onlookers whispered, some pulling out their phones to record. And there stood David, humiliated, not because of what he did, but because of what she decided he was. The tow driver hesitated, unsure who to believe. Karen's confidence was sharp, almost commanding, but David's calm presence carried weight too. The air was tense, seconds ticking like thunder, and then everything shifted, because out of the corner of the lot, a familiar voice rang out. "Excuse me, what seems to be the problem here?" All heads turned. A man stepped forward, tall, composed, carrying authority with every step. It was Mr. Harrison, the regional property manager of the entire complex. A man who didn't just oversee the lot, but owned it. The crowd parted. Karen straightened, her tone dripping with fake politeness. "Oh, thank goodness you're here. This man is trespassing. He doesn't belong in this lot." But Mr. Harrison's eyes went straight to David. "Mr. Johnson," he said warmly, "you're right on time for your meeting." Karen froze. The crowd gasped. And David, he finally allowed himself the faintest smile. Because the truth was, he wasn't just a random driver. He was there to meet with Mr. Harrison himself. And Karen had no idea she had just tried to humiliate a man who not only belonged there, but had been personally invited. The tow driver slowly lowered his clipboard. The crowd whispered louder, and Karen's face turned pale. David stepped closer, his voice calm but strong. "You said I didn't belong here, but the truth is, I belong more than you ever imagined." Karen stammered, words failing her for the first time. The smug superiority drained from her eyes, replaced with something else, fear. Mr. Harrison looked at her sharply. "Ma'am, this lot isn't yours to police, and from what I've just witnessed, I think it's time you leave. Justice, not loud, not violent, but undeniable." The crowd nodded, some even clapped, and Karen slinked away, sunglasses hiding her shame. David's car remained untouched, his dignity restored, and as he walked into his meeting, shoulders tall, pride intact, one truth rang louder than any insult ever could. Respect isn't given based on appearance. It's earned through character. And no one, no matter how loud, can strip that away. But just when it seemed the story was over, a shadow loomed. Karen wasn't finished, because people like her rarely walk away quietly. Later that night, David received a call that would drag him deeper into a battle he never asked for, a battle that wouldn't just test his patience, but his future. The voice on the line was cold. "This isn't over. You'll regret embarrassing me." And just like that, what began as a parking dispute was about to explode into something far greater. Because when bitterness meets power, the consequences can shake everything. And David Johnson was about to find out just how far some people would go to protect their pride. The phone call haunted David all night. That cold voice, that threat, "This isn't over. You'll regret embarrassing me." He tried to brush it off. He told himself Karen was just blowing smoke. But deep down, something told him she wasn't done. The next morning, David pulled into the same lot. This time, his shoulders were squared, his resolve unshaken. He had another meeting with Mr. Harrison, another step forward in his career. But as he stepped out his car, whispers rippled through the lot. People were staring, some even pointing. And then he saw why. His car, spray painted, big, red letters slashed across the side. "Thief. Liar. Get out." David's chest tightened. His hard-earned car, his pride, defaced for the world to see. And standing just a few feet away, Karen, phone in hand, smirk on her lips, recording. "Oh, look," she said mockingly, caught red-handed pretending to be what you're not. David clenched his fists. Every fiber of him wanted to shout, to fight, to unleash his anger. But once again, he remembered his father's words. Never let anger steal your dignity. So he stood tall. "I didn't do this," he said firmly. "You know I didn't." But Karen only laughed. "Doesn't matter what you say. Everyone can see the truth now." The crowd grew, phones raised, strangers whispering. Some shook their heads, others looked uncertain. And for a moment, it felt like Karen's lie was winning. That's when Mr. Harrison appeared again. His sharp eyes scanned the car, then the crowd, then Karen herself. "This isn't just vandalism," he said slowly. "This is targeted harassment." Karen scoffed. "You can't prove that." But Mr. Harrison smiled. "Oh, I think I can." From his briefcase, he pulled out something small but powerful. A flash drive. He held it up. "You forgot about the security cameras, didn't you?" Karen's face drained of color. The crowd gasped. And David felt a surge of hope. Mr. Harrison handed the drive to the lot attendant. "Pull up the footage. Let's settle this right now." Karen stammered, her voice shaking. This is harassment. I'm the victim here." But no one was buying it anymore. The confidence that once commanded the crowd was crumbling. Minutes later, the footage played on a small screen inside the lot office. There she was, Karen, late last night, creeping up to David's car with a can of spray paint. Her face clear, her actions undeniable. The evidence was damning. The crowd's whispers turned into outrage. Unbelievable. She lied. She framed him. Karen's mask slipped. Her arrogance shattered. She screamed, slammed her hands on the desk. This isn't fair. He doesn't belong here. But Mr. Harrison's voice cut through like steel. No, you don't belong here. Justice had spoken. Karen was escorted out, her screams echoing into the distance. And for the first time, David felt the weight of vindication. His car could be repaired, his reputation restored. But his dignity, that had never left. And just when it seemed like the nightmare was over, the phone rang again. David answered, his voice steady. But this time it wasn't Karen. It was deeper, colder, more dangerous. "Mr. Johnson, we've been watching, and you just made a very powerful enemy." David froze. His pulse quickened. Because this wasn't about Karen anymore. This was bigger, stronger, and far more dangerous than he ever imagined. And what came next would test not just his patience, but his very future. This was only the beginning. Please subscribe for part 2.